All right, so I think we can go ahead and like just dive on. Let's just dive on in, man. I know we have a lot of thoughts on everything. Let's just start with the offense and start with quarterback. K. Klubnik, man. That was Texas Westlake K. Klubnik.
Yeah.
Personified, like everything that you saw from him in high school. That was just effortless, gunslinging, just completely fearless. Like that was the Cade Klubnik that you thought you were getting coming out of high school. That is the best half of football in Clemson history, statistically.
Yes.
That's pretty hard to wrap your head around when you consider the players that Clemson has had, not even just in the past 10 years, but just over the years. Like, Clemson has had some really, really talented quarterbacks throughout its history, and none of them touched what A. Klubnik just did.
Right. And look, I think it's crazy to think about that, right? When the announcers first started talking about it in the first half about how this was the most points ever scored in a quarter for Clemson, the most points ever scored in a half. And then they brought up the stat about Lamar Jackson.
That really put things into perspective.
Yeah. And it kind of like it started kind of hitting a little bit differently how special of a half of football that Cade was having. And you got to love it for the guy because he's been through a lot of down and low moments as the quarterback of Clemson. And he just went out there and had himself a day. If you just think about how the night started off for Clemson, and more specifically Cade, third play of the game, 75-yard bomb, touchdown, right? So, and that just kind of set the tone. After that, I mean, it was a beautiful thrown ball. Hit the guy right in stride. Brian Wesco walks in essentially for Clemson's first touchdown of the season, scored by a freshman. So shout out to I don't know if anybody out there had a prop bet on that, but if they did, they probably got paid out pretty well on that. But it was a perfectly thrown ball. It was a great route by Wesco, and man, that dude looks fast in the open field.
He can fly, man.
After he gets the ball, like his acceleration was insane, and it just looked great. And from then on, you could see Cade's confidence. You could see the confidence in the offense. I mean, it was just sky high, and it never dropped. I mean, if you're talking about Cade's stats from today, right? And just the offensive stats in general. I mean, they were absolutely insane. I mean, you're talking about a 92% completion percentage. He went 24 of 26 tonight, 5 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. That's an insane day, man. And as much as you have to put it in perspective, and we will, obviously we're going to give props and be excited about this performance because it's been so long since Clemson fans have seen anything close to this. So, yeah, we're going to relish in it. We're going to enjoy it tonight. We're going to be excited about what we saw on that field. And we will put it in perspective that, yes, this is one game. Yes, we were playing a group of 5 team. Yes, we were supposed to come in here and blow out App State if we even want to remotely have the season that we're supposed to or that we want to have, right? But the offensive explosion was truly something special to watch. So just put it into your perspective, Jordan, as you were watching this kind of explosion in the first half, because if everyone's being honest with themselves, no one saw this coming. No one.
Nope.
We could have played the local high school that hadn't won a game in 5 years, and no one would have thought that every time Clemson touched the football in the first half, they would have ended in the end zone. No one would have thought that, including us. So kind of tell us how you were feeling watching this game, and how it was just to see Clemson's offense operate at such a crazy clip, man. Like they were just Cade hit that one bomb, and then it just like snowballed from there.
Yeah, man. It was honestly, it was nostalgia. Honestly, in a lot of ways, it was like it was like seeing an old friend that you hadn't talked to in like 3 years. Like it was that kind of experience. Like I was literally jumping out of my seat. Like I would have done backflips if like I had enough room in my living room. Um, it was awesome. And so like I don't want again, and we're going to keep reiterating this. Like this is just one game, and doesn't necessarily mean everything for what this team will be the rest of the season. But man, it's one of those, you needed to see the ball go through the hoop, and you saw the ball go through the hoop a lot, and that was pretty spectacular. So I was really excited, just watching Cade just look so it looked like they were having fun. Like we have not seen this offense have fun in a long time, and it looked like everybody was having fun.
Everybody's having a good time.
It was like everything that had been talked about during the offseason about, Cade has taken the next step, and this is the best group of skill position players that we've had in quite some time, and this offensive line has a chance to be one of the better ones we've had in quite some time. All of that kind of stuff, showed itself in that one game, and they were in sync for the first time in a really long time. And Garrett Riley, just the ways he was getting them the football, the way he was creating mismatches and creating easy opportunities for Cade. Like it wasn't just him making super tight window throws. It was guys streaking wide open,
man.
It just the one to Jake Brenningstool where he just basically he didn't even really look. He's just streaking down the sideline, and Cade just puts it right in his hip. Like that, like
I thought he was going to drop it for a second.
Yeah, me too. I was like, oh man, that's it right there. But no, it just looked so easy, and we have not seen offense look easy in a long time. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty awesome to watch from my perspective. I mean, kind of going back to our thoughts in the preview that we did last night on the game, and kind of, I asked you the question and answered the same question myself of, what would a successful day look like for the Clemson offense? Well, they far exceeded anything that we listed off. But one of the things that I did mention was, hey, I would really like to see a competent downfield passing game. That would be great. And then I think the other thing that I said was something to the effect of, I just want it to look easy for Clemson. Like for once, I just want it to them to go out there and establish a rhythm and be able to operate with tempo, and just look like they've done it before. I said something to that effect. Well, they exceeded those expectations exponentially tonight. And it was great to see Cade finally, I think for the first time in his career as a Clemson quarterback, truly look confident. And
yeah, other than we haven't seen that other than the ACC championship game when he came in DJ,
right. But truly look confident and look like, okay, yeah, this is his offense. These are his guys. They're looking to him. They're feeding off of his energy. And he truly looked like that guy out there tonight. So shout out to Cade. I'm sure he's going to enjoy it. There's a bye week coming this week. But obviously they'll have to get back to work. NC State's coming to town right after this bye week. So no real time to, take a break and enjoy it too long. You got to get back to work. You got to grind that away. But just to put into perspective, the first half that this Clemson offense had, 525 yards of total offense, 378 yards passing. Cade was 24 of 26, 14.5 yards average per pass. 147 yards rushing.
That'll do.
That'll do in 15 minutes of time of possession. Every time they touched the ball, they scored a touchdown. And it looked easy. It looked natural. They were 6 of 6 on third down. They were perfect on third down in that first half. Everything looked natural. Everything looked easy. The offense looked like it flowed. It looked like it made sense. And frankly, I think the big difference was, to your point, there were playmakers out there just making plays, right? People were open. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cade made some great throws, taking nothing away from Cade. He had an amazing night. You don't throw 92% completion percentage and not have a great night. I don't care who you're playing. But those receivers, man, Brian Wesco, hey, he's a dude, man. Like,
yep.
The real deal. Antonio Williams, we already knew.
Yeah.
But he just reminds you every single game he goes out there, he reminds you, hey, I'm still here, right?
He needs to hold on to that damn punt, though. I had flashbacks to a game that we won't mention by name.
Let's not talk about that game, okay?
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
But yeah, TJ Moore had a couple nice catches.
And he was probably down, to be fair.
Yeah, he probably was. There wasn't a camera angle that was going to put him down, but
yeah,
he was probably down. But whatever. Yeah, TJ Moore got into the end zone. Brenningstool had himself a day. Good to see that. It was just playmaker after playmaker. Maffa flashed a little bit of speed. Everybody talks about Maffa being the bruiser, the big heavy back to just, rattle the linebackers' heads. But hey, he showed a little speed today.
He outran the way he outran that safety. Nobody that's 6'2", 230 pounds should move the way that Phil Maffa does.
I'm trying to tell you, man.
And we knew this. You can think he's had runs like this in the past. I remember the run he had against Florida State, of his freshman year. That one, he really showed off his speed. The one against the opening touchdown against Notre Dame last year, he just separated from everybody.
Yes.
That's the Phil Maffa that we wanted to see, and he didn't get a ton of opportunities last week. And so, man, just everything was, other than Tyler Brown obviously rolling up his ankle. That was disappointing because he didn't really get to eat with everybody else. But that just shows you that's your leading receiver from last year, and you still had a record-setting passing performance, and you had guys step up like that. When we talked about how deep we thought this wide receiver room was, that is what we thought we were getting.
Right.
That is what we thought we were getting. And I think Dabo obviously was a man of his word when he said things were going to change with how the rotation, especially at wide receiver. Yeah. And you saw the results. And I think the good thing is that you made those changes, but then the guys that got less snaps, the Adam Randalls, the Cole Turners, they had good plays in this game. Cole Turner had a couple of really nice plays. I saw Adam Randall, his snap count went down. I saw him blocking his ass off. I saw him make a couple of tough catches. That's good. I think those two have utility in this offense in spots. But it's obvious you have difference makers ahead of them, and you played them, and you saw everything just kind of open up.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it was the rotation was definitely complete 180 from what we saw against Georgia, and the result was a complete 180 as well. Yeah. And you could just see the dynamic ability of some of those guys, man. And when they're out there on the field together, that's not fun, man. That's not fun for a defensive back group to try to, take care of, especially a group like App State. They're physically, they're overmatched already. because they don't have nearly the talent that Clemson has on their roster. So they're already at a complete disadvantage. And then you put all those guys on the field at the same time, and you saw the results of that. You had guys running wide open, and Cade was playing, just basically pitch and catch at that point. I do want to shout out Cade, though, for sure, about his deep ball tonight. It was great. His deep ball was
much better,
completely 180.
Still had he had one underthrow.
He did. He had one,
but it drew a pass interference on the.
Shout out to Antonio Williams for going to get that ball, or trying to go get that ball to draw that flag.
Yeah,
that's going to be a flag every day of the week if the receiver goes back and attempts to get the ball. That's exactly what Antonio Williams did. 15-yard penalty comes out, and a badly thrown ball turns into a positive play because of the penalty. So shout out to Antonio Williams for that heads-up play. But outside of that one, pretty much every other throw that Cade made was, as far as deep balls goes, were right in stride. I mean, you think about that first one he threw to Wesco, right in stride, right? So his deep ball was much better tonight. We beat him up about it in the first game, so you got to give him love in the second game when he comes out and obviously makes the correction and has a much better day throwing the deep ball. Absolutely.
And before we talk about some other things, I see you guys talking about it in the chat. We do want to say rest in peace to DeAndre Overton. I mean, obviously, I'm sure everybody knows by now, but unfortunately, he was shot and killed last night. Former Clemson wide receiver. Absolutely tragic event. And two-time national champion, captain in 2019. He was playing with the Memphis. I forget the name of the team in the UFL.
Yeah.
Man, I got really emotional when they showed them like at the top of the hill, and they let our two number 14s run down the hill first, and there was kind of a moment of silence after the cannon, and nobody after they went down.
Yeah,
that was beautiful.
Man.
I thought they did a really, really good job, just kind of honoring him, and that was that had me tearing up a little bit.
Yeah, I think that was super special of Clemson to honor DeAndre in that way. And I mean, it's just, you hate to hear about, the passing of anyone, but the circumstances surrounding it, and, it just makes it, that much worse. And then you factor in how young he was, and, how much potential he had, and the life he had to live ahead of him, and all of that stuff. It's tough, man. But I think Clemson did a really great job of just honoring him before that game, and showing him and his family love, and how important he was to the Clemson community when he was there.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that they did a really good job. Somebody put, I don't know who did it, but on his plaque on Tiger Walk, flowers and balloons, and then Clemson, and then Dabo during Tiger Walk, he went down and he stopped at DeAndre Overton's plaque and blew him a kiss and had a moment of silence. That was that one got me too. Man. So rest in peace, Dre.
Yeah.
Clemson family
to,
and
family, friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Former teammates. It was heartbreaking, seeing all the responses and reactions on social media. It was a lot, and just shocking, and very, very tragic. But we will forever remember him, national champion. I remember his 3-touchdown performance against Boston College. That was really, really cool. I think he holds the record for most touchdown catches, along with like Justin Ross, Artavis Scott, a few other Clemson receivers. But
yeah,
he's in the Clemson record books, and he also caught Trevor Lawrence's first touchdown pass.
He did.
As a Clemson Tiger. So, yeah.
And what was that against Texas A&M?
No, it wasn't. People always say that T. Higgins caught his first. That was Trevor Lawrence's first touchdown pass against a Power 5. But the week before we had played.
You're right.
What I don't remember who was it.
Some nobody school that year.
Yeah, I'm blanking right now. I know who it was, but he did catch Trevor Lawrence's first official touchdown pass as a Clemson Tiger. So that's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. What a night for Clemson's offense to suddenly seemingly resurrect themselves.
Absolutely, it was. Tater King got me. It was Furman. I knew it was one of the in-state FCS schools. I didn't want to say which. I couldn't remember which one.
Rest in peace to him, and prayers to his family and friends. Tough time, man. Tough time. But I think Clemson did a really good job of honoring him, and they will probably continue to do so as the year goes on.
Absolutely. Not really a good way to move on from that, but some of the other things that stood out to me offensively, offensive line, fantastic. One of the things that we had talked about in the pregame is like we wanted to see that same physicality you saw against Georgia and that want to against Georgia. You wanted to see that against App State too, and I thought you saw that, especially the first team offensive line. They gave Cade all day in the passing game, especially. It was
he had no worries. I don't think he got touched.
No, he really didn't. Cade had the cleanest pockets I've seen a Clemson quarterback have in quite some time, and so and they played together, and that's with Marcus Tate not going. He wasn't able to go in this game. So, I thought Colin Sadler filled in really nicely, especially, after he struggled a good bit against Georgia. It was a nice bounce back performance for him. Just Ryan Linthicum has quietly just put together 2 really, really solid games. I thought he was solid against Georgia, and I thought he was really, really good today. I think this group is good. I genuinely believe this group is good, and I think they're only going to get better. They're not perfect by any means, but I think I think you're seeing the difference under Matt Luke's tutelage that we just have not seen from Clemson offensive lines in the past. Just really, really, I think the pass to Antonio Williams, the touchdown pass to Antonio Williams was just like. Cade sat there he had all the time in the world for that play to develop. Like that's the kind of those are the kind of things you want to see. Just really, really, really happy with the offensive line play. And it was cool to see. And also the backup running backs, Jay Haynes, David Ajumame.
He looked good out there. He looked fast. He looks good. Good to see those guys get out there. But, the O-line looked great, man. They looked really good. They are obviously improved. Matt Luke has had an effect on that room, and they look significantly better than they did last year. Now, we'll see how they shape out as the season goes on. I think we'll need to keep health on our side because I do think some of the depth there is not where those first 5 guys are. Right.
Yeah.
But it's exciting to see the improvement along the offensive line so early in the season. And I think, with health on their side, if they stay healthy, they're only going to improve as the season goes on. Right. So I think they'll continue to be better. They just seem like they have a different intensity out there this season. And I'm pretty sure that comes from Matt Luke and the way that he approaches the game with his energy and his accountability and the way that he kind of challenges those guys. You can definitely see the change on the field in that offensive line. And that's pretty special, I think. But running back is, man, we got some dudes at running back, dude. Like, I know, we got Phil Maffa, and he's the guy. He's going to be RB1 all season. He's going to get the bulk of the carries. But Clemson fans got a reason to be excited about the future at running back because some of those guys came out and flashed tonight. And I know they're young and they still got some growth and some things to learn and some things to improve on. But I think the future is bright at that position. I was really happy to see some of those young guys get out there and get some opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was really exciting to see. Josh Sapp had a really nice catch. At tight end, Olsen Pat Henry had a couple of nice catches. It was good to see the tight ends get Jake Brenningstool obviously had a really, really nice day. But it was nice to see some of the other tight ends get involved. And, we've already talked about Brian Wesco. Shout out to TJ Moore for getting his first career touchdown as well. Really, really well-designed play, just motioned him out, got him and got him isolated on an inside route. And he had all the leverage in the world to run it in. It wasn't even an overly complicated play, but it's stuff like that we have not seen this offense be able to execute consistently. And like, the middle of the field was open for the first time, this year. And, we've talked about that, for multiple seasons about how Clemson doesn't utilize the middle of the field enough, and it's too much, verticals, down the hashes and down the sideline, and not utilizing that big part of the field, and because it definitely wasn't open. There were opportunities against Georgia, but you didn't really take them. And that was another big difference. And so I thought Cade spread the ball to multiple parts of the field and showed that he could hit to multiple parts of the field. And that was, that's what we've wanted to see from this offense. And it changes everything about how defensive coordinators in the future will play you. Because now you've put this on tape that, hey, we are going to utilize the middle of the field. Hey, we are going to throw it deep and test your DBs. There's not going to be as much guys teams kind of loading up against the run and daring you to throw and you just playing timid, because I feel like you have the playmakers to make them pay for that. This was everything you could have asked for from the offense, and more.
Yeah, no, certainly. Another thing I wanted to kind of mention and shout out before we move on from the offense is perimeter blocking. It was much better.
Yeah,
it was much better. I liked what I saw out there, perimeter blocking. A lot more effort. And that's really what it is as a wide receiver, blocking out in space, right? It's pretty much all effort and just a tiny little bit of technique and stuff like that. But the effort out there was much better tonight.
Yeah.
And part of that was everything was going well and everybody was having a good time and all of that stuff. But I got to shout those dudes out because they did a really good job out there, perimeter blocking for the most part tonight, especially when we were trying to get things swing passes and things like that out on the edge. They did a really good job. Didn't always work, but there was good effort out there with the blocking, I think.
I'm with you. And that's what we wanted to see. That's probably the biggest thing other than explosive plays that they've lacked from the wide receivers in particular. So absolutely. Any other things that stood out to you offensively?
No, not really.
I think we hit on everything.
It was good to see the backup quarterbacks get in there, right?
Yeah.
Good to see Vizina get out there. He likes running the ball, maybe a little too much.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, he can run, and that's something that I put out a tweet. I said, you know, this is the first time really in Chris's career that he's gotten to showcase his legs. That's something he did a lot of in high school, because you know he did not have a very good offensive line, and a lot of the plays he made in high school was him, you know, making plays off schedule. But also it's, you know, some designed quarterback run stuff too. He can run. He's a good athlete. And so I think you saw that. I think that touchdown run he had, really, really well designed play. You know, I loved that play call on that fourth down. But you saw his wheels, and of course he also had that long run earlier in the drive. Like he's going to be, you know, once he settles in as a pocket passer, like you see the talent, and you see why Clemson liked him so much out of high school. So
look, I love his ability to run. I just think sometimes he pulls it down a little too quickly.
Yeah,
he likes running, which is a good thing, and it's a good skill to have. And it was nice to see the return of the quarterback run for Clemson tonight. Something that's been a staple of that offense for you know, a while, and a staple of most offenses. Most offenses do a little bit of quarterback run if they have anybody athletic back there. So yeah, it was good to see him. I think he made some really good play. He made some really good throws too. Shout out to him. That one to Cole Turner on the sideline over there. That was a great throw.
That's the Cole Turner that we thought we were getting in the you know, before the season. That's the athlete. Like when he's not having to think. You know, Cole Turner in particular. Like he had you know, a really nice catch on the sideline. Like really nice snag. Like it wasn't a great ball by Cade, but he went up and got it on that out route. Obviously the big play from Vizina, but then they also ran a little reverse with him. That's the kind, like, what if he's the fastest player on the team? Why don't you do that more? That's what you do with an athlete like that. And you saw the wheels. He can move.
Run some motion, get him moving, and you know, toss him the ball, or pitch him the ball, or whatever, and get him out in space, and you know, see if he can get around the corner and make something happen if he's the fastest guy on the team, right? So and that's kind of like, I feel like that's what me and you were talking about the most, kind of breaking down what happened with Georgia and stuff like that, is just like getting your playmakers the ball in space, right? And that's one example, right? Doing a jet sweep with a Cole Turner. You talk about how fast he is all the time, so you know, that's a really easy way of ensuring that he gets the ball in space, and then let's see what happens, right? Maybe he breaks it. Maybe he only gets 4 or 5 yards. So you can live with that as well. So, but yeah, like to see Chris Vizina in there get a couple plays. They played all the quarterbacks, which was surprising.
Paul Tyson got snaps, man.
Even Paul Tyson got some snaps. I was like, dang, they done emptied the quarterback room. That's crazy. I didn't think we'd ever see Paul Tyson take a snap for Clemson this season. But sure enough, week 2, Paul Tyson was out there taking a snap for Clemson. So shout out to all the quarterbacks getting in there. The other two, you know, Pierman and Tyson really didn't get that much. Vizina obviously got the bulk of the mop-up duty, which obviously, if anything were to happen to Cade, he'd be the guy we're relying on. So clearly you want to get him some reps. But, you know, I think it was good to see. Just to see Vizina outside of a spring game, right? Operating within the offense. And I like that, excuse me, I like that they kept operating exactly like Cade was in the game, right? They didn't change the play calling. They didn't get conservative. He didn't turn around and hand the ball off 47 times, right? They just kept in the flow of the same offense that they were doing in the first half with Cade. It was just now Vizina in there. So it was nice to see him in there just kind of running the offense with no limitations.